Well, welcome everybody, and we will start off with our items of interest, recognition, and inquiry. Board of Education members, anybody have anything?
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Well, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Anybody else?
Same. Yep.
Same.
Mrs. Sibula, yes?
Good evening, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone. And I also want to make mention that the Marine City Band concert is tonight, Christmas concert is tonight at 7 p.m. right next door if anyone wants to hear some wonderful holiday music. That's it.
Okay. So next up is our academic spotlight, Palms Elementary, with Mr. Michael Domagowski as the principal.
I brought a crew.
I like it.
Yay.
All right, so President Frank, Superintendent Sibula, the rest of the East China Board and community, Mike Domagowski, happy to present here with Palms Elementary School. We're delighted to have the opportunity to showcase one of the amazing programs that we have going on at Palms. There's a lot of great things we have going on at Palms and throughout the district, but we can only highlight one tonight. So tonight we're going to highlight Story Champs. It's a program that really was brought from Mrs. Sarah Ranger. I don't want to take too much of the thunder away, but that also were intertwining cross-curricular, which is really interesting and exciting. So a lot of good information, a lot of good data, a lot of good work with our littles. And I want to give kudos to Sarah Ranger, our speech pathologist, and also our kindergarten teachers who will be doing most of the presenting tonight, showing you really what it looks like in our classrooms. So on that, I'm going to hand it right over to Sarah Ranger, our speech pathologist.
Hello.
Hi.
So we know in East China, response to intervention is something we're trying to adopt an MTSS process, which is just giving intervention to children in the elementary schools. And so it's identifying struggling students early on and giving them the support they need to thrive in school. So already we have academic support for reading and math recently in every building. And at Palms, being so small and being there for a long time, we have this great program where I thought, why not do some language intervention in addition to that support to really do an RTI process. So we do whole group instruction. I take students out in small group in addition to even one-on-one if we identify that they need more language support in these areas that Ms. Schindler's going to talk about.
So what is Story Champs? Story Champs is an intervention program that teaches basic story elements to students using relatable stories. So you can see up at the top there's little pictures of a little boy going to the doctor's office, and you can see there's just 5 simple pictures. And that's done so that they can clearly introduce the character, talk about what the setting is, how he's feeling, and then the ending feeling and how it ends. In the beginning of the program, these pictures are simple and the stories are simple to follow along, and that's to build the students' confidence of knowing what those story elements are. As they progress through the program, the stories become more difficult and there'll be more detailed pictures and more details in the story, but they can always go back to that simple foundation of what the setting was, who the character was, and so the goal is they can easily identify the characters' settings, feelings, increasing their language complexity. And then you can see there's symbols in the bottom right corner there, and those are always the same, no matter how the story changes. They always can look to that symbol of the character or the setting, and they can know that that's time to identify that basic story element. And they can always go back to their basic foundation of that.
So why are we doing this? So really this is kind of the research base behind why Story Champs is such a successful program in schools. We know narrative language is a bridge between how we speak, how we talk, and how we write. So what do upper elementary have to do? They have to write stories. So when we're better storytellers, we're better writers, we're better students overall, and it predicts kind of success in school. So that's why it's important to start early on to give these kids those tools of story grammar, knowing plot and stories, and identifying all those elements, as well as including the language complexities. So vocabulary skills, we do sparkle words. So not just happy, but we're elated, we're excited, kind of teaching those vocabulary words in stories that they can relate to. We also work on sentence structure skills. We have a lot of kindergartners who have her or them for she and they. So we're constantly teaching story grammar within those sessions that I work with the kiddos, and really organizing and producing stories in a sequential manner, which is important when we're working with the littles.
Okay, so we use some gestures to increase our active participation during our stories. And we all know that active participation can decrease behavior problems, which is very nice for us through our curriculum. We have some lengthy stories, so with them doing some movements, it helps them be engaged. So we want to show you what we do here. So the first one is character. And what do we do for character, guys? So when we hear a character, they're patting their heads. And then a setting, when we hear where that's taking place, right? We do like a house. And what is the problem of the story? We always have a thumbs down for a problem. And how do you feel about that problem? Usually pretty sad, huh, at the beginning. But what are we going to do to take action to solve that problem? We have action pose. And then how did we end it? What was the ending? And how did you feel? Which we usually have happy endings.
So there's a lot of expanding activities within this program. Story retell is a one with popsicle sticks where they're each given a popsicle stick with the color and the symbol on it. They have to organize themselves in line and retell it as a group. We also have a favorite. What's our favorite?
Dice.
Good job. The dice is a fun with on the face of the dice is the different story elements. We roll it in whole group. I think this past week we did small groups and we took turns telling each part. It's really fun to support each other, which is champ checks. So when my friend Aubrey is telling a story to Jason, maybe she forgets something, Jason will be like, hey, what's the setting? And then she can go back and say, oh yeah, I forgot to say it. So it's awesome teamwork that's happening within the small groups and in the classroom, and it's fun stuff.
This is an example of what it looks like in the classroom, whole group. This is a simple story, The Little Green Engine from our open court reading. And you can see we're doing those gestures, what's the problem, the character. And again, it's a way for us to do quick formative assessment in the classroom. We can scan the room, see who's doing the gestures, who's kind of consistently missing the setting or the problem, and we use that for our data and can go back and revisit or do anything we need to increase that language complexity skill and their knowledge of the story elements. Oh, that's me again. This is an example of one of the games that we do. This is a worksheet where they have to identify the setting, character, all of the story elements. And as you can see on the left side, all the way to the right, we just have different expectations of what the kids can do. More so in the beginning of the year, we're looking for simple pictures that can identify what they're trying to say. And as we move through, we're looking for more sounding out words. So this was done in November, so we're still trying to sound out our words, but you can see even if they're just identifying this story with that little green engine, you know, I love the one with the color. Even if we can't tell what it is, we can use some type of picture, color, label to identify, and you can see that they're getting all of those story elements using this worksheet. Again, just another formative assessment of the program and how we use it in the classroom.
Okay. So Mr. D encourages us to use data to drive our instruction, and so we brought that in with Story Champs. And at the beginning in September, we read them a story and we kind of gave them an assessment to see if they could identify the title, the setting, the characters, and the problem and solution. And we have the red means that they could not identify it, and the green means they met the target. So as you see, we only had 4 come in September that could identify all of them, and that is because they did this in Young Fives with Mrs. Woodhouse and Mrs. Ranger also. So they were already on top of it. And then we did this again in November, and as you see, we now have 52% of our students are able to identify all the story elements, which is a huge growth in just a very short time, just by doing these things throughout our reading.
So we're going to do a sample story so you can really get an idea of what it looks like. So our friends are going to help us. And Mr. D, you need to get on the end too.
I'm gonna get in.
Oh, wait, I'll do that right. Pass those out. Who gets that? Nope. Yep, perfect. So when we're in whole group, we do a lot of active listening. I want your eyes, I want your ears. Get your hands ready. So they're going to show you though as we go through. Are you ready? So when you hear your part, throw it up, okay? John went for a bike ride outside on the road. Good job. John hit a big rock and he fell off his bike. John felt sad because his knee hurt. John asked his mom for help, and his mom gave John a Band-Aid. John was happy, and he went for a bike ride again. Yay! So, Jackson, who's the character?
John,
Where was he?
outside on the road.
Good job. Jace, what was the problem in the story?
He fell on his bike.
Oh, good job. How did John feel, Priscilla?
John felt sad because he hurt her knee.
Good job. Aubrey, what was the action? What did he do to solve the problem?
He asked his mom for a Band-Aid.
Good job. And Mr. D, how did the story end?
He became happy and went for a bike ride again.
Good job, friends. Now, super simple. This is very shortened version of what it actually is, but get an idea.
Yeah, real good idea.
So really, thank you for having us. I don't know if you wanted to talk about the pictures.
So really, once again, just to sum it up, this is just one of the examples that we use to, we're using the curriculum open court. I encourage the teachers to use data to drive, so when they work on things like Story Champs as one of the programs that we have going on at Palms, we always continually have a conversation of, okay, how do we know it's working? What are we doing when it's not working? What are we doing with the students that already got it? So those are conversations that we continually have at Palms and will continue to have. So I'm really proud of our kindergarten teachers. I'm really proud of our kindergartners, as you can see them, as we're trying to develop them. And yes, we are teaching writing at kindergarten, and they're doing a phenomenal job. We're really proud of the progress they're making and where they're going to go in the future. So really proud of this program and really a lot of the things that we're doing at Palms. So I'll open it up to any questions you may have.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great program, yeah. Love seeing the kids here.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you,
All right.
thank you, thank you.
Great end of the story.
Okay. Okay, the next item on our agenda is our consent agenda. A motion is needed for the approval of minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting on November 27th, the approval of payment of bills, financial statement, and schedule of investments, and the appointment of a teacher.
So moved.
Support.
Are there any comments or questions? Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Now we'll move on into our department reports, if anybody has anything this evening. Mrs. Dimick?
Yes, good evening. I just wanted to let you know that we have hired another security specialist for the district to add another layer of security to our buildings. So in addition to Mr. Kennedy as our Director of School Safety and Security, we will have an additional security specialist who will be assisting with him so that we can have more coverage at our buildings. And in addition, we're in the process of hiring a third. So that will be a
Excellent.
good addition to our program.
Great, thank you.
Awesome.
Operations, the only thing I want to say is we're ready for the snow.
Good evening from the Business Department. I just wanted to share that we are diligently working on our budget revision, which will be presented at next month's board meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
In the special education department, we're just busy going from meeting to meeting right now. It's a busy time for student planning, but no other updates other than that.
Thank you.
Yay, real quick in technology, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, everybody. Big picture items we're working on right now is at the Marine City Complex, getting ready to open the cafeteria and the new Knowledge Center, so we're gonna be spending a lot of time in there this next month or so. And we're excited about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I know it's a little past Thanksgiving, but I am thankful that Superintendent Sybula and Mrs. Demick helped put together a program where we could hire another district security specialist. I'm looking forward to having that person on staff here on January 8th. I'll be doing some training, and then they will be assigned to the St. Clair Middle School, give us another presence at the middle school on a daily basis, which I think is needed. So,
Great,
thank you.
great. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's move into committee reports.
There are no committee reports this evening.
Okay, so we will move right on into our Bond 2020 discussion and action items.
action, the St. Clair campus renovations, we have a pre-purchase of mechanical equipment. In order to complete the scheduled renovations at the St. Clair 612 building, it's necessary to complete a pre-purchase of the mechanical equipment that currently has extremely long lead times for delivery. The following recommendations are being made for the two different suppliers of that equipment. As normal, in conjunction with TMP and AUK, bid specifications were developed for the various different components necessary to complete the building renovations. For each supplier group, the lowest responsive bidder was invited to conduct a post-bid interview with myself, TMP, and AUK. Whenever any of these bidders are deemed unresponsive or fail to have the bid scope covered in their bid, we then add the next lowest bidder. And the following recommendation in your board book is the final result of those post-bid interviewing process. Any questions?
Any comments or questions, anybody?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Because I usually do my action item now. Okay, we're going to move right on into our next item, which is our closed session this evening. And a motion is needed for the Board of Education to go into closed session pursuant to Section 8B of the Open Meetings Act, Act 267 of 1976, board discussion connected to the discipline of a student.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes.
Secretary Disarray,
Yes.
Trustee Westbrook,
Yes.
Vice President Viva,
Yes.
and President Frank.
Yes. Okay, so at this time, we will go into closed session, and when we return, we will have our public comment, and then we will go into our action items, and then that will conclude our evening this evening. Thank you. Date with AUK General Contractors.
Good evening. My name is Aaron St. Dennis. I'm a senior project manager with Elk Construction. Jerry McClellan actually had a Christmas concert to attend to, so I'm filling in for him tonight. Quick update at Marine City High School. Craig kind of pointed out to it that the media center is nearing completion. The flooring is in, ceilings, clouds are in, and painting is going in as we speak. Existing shelving units have started being put back together, and furniture is scheduled to be delivered after Christmas. Also, there is a kitchen hood and pizza hood that's in process of being installed out there, so they're moving along as we speak.
Pizza Hut?
Yeah.
Sounds yummy.
St. Clair High School, we have a bid pack going out tomorrow, actually, for the Phase 2 portion of the project. That's the interior renovations. We will get bidders following after the new year, and we will be back again to present the bids to the board for that portion of the project. One last thing, the new backboard, the replacement backboard is scheduled to be on site Wednesday and installed before the Thursday game. So we put a push to that this morning, and hopefully we get that all corrected and ready to go. So
We appreciate that, thank you.
no worries. Dave called me Friday evening. I said, oh, this can't be good. So we got it though. So any questions?
No, anybody have any questions?
It's not the
Thank
same backboard, right?
No, sir. Similar, it's clear. Yeah. Well, thank
Okay.
you all for your time.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much
Thank
for
you.
coming. Okay, we'll move into our public comment, codes, persons recognition of persons wishing to address the board. I have one green card this evening, Eric Lafferty. Is it too late? No, it's not too late. I'm sorry. Anybody else have a green card they'd like to turn in? Okay, so Eric Lafferty, if you'd please come to the center and try to limit your comments to 5 minutes, if you could.
Yes, ma'am, I'll be pretty quick. My name is Eric
Thank you.
Lafferty, and I live at 3095 Regatta Lane in St. Clair. I'm also a parent of 4 children, 3 of which are in the East China School District, and I am a law enforcement officer. The reason why I want to talk to you today is mainly, first and foremost, I want to say thank you for the work that you guys are doing. Just sitting here listening to some of the changes that are going to be implemented from the security standpoint, it sounds like you guys are making some changes that I think are much needed inside the school district to address some of the issues that have happened in the last couple of months. I make it an effort to sit down with my son and my kids at dinner and ask them how school goes, and I ask very specific questions. One of the questions I like to ask is, did anything interesting happen at school today? My son, at one of our dinners, decided to share with us that a student had been suspended from St. Clair Middle School. When I was talking to him about it, I asked him what had happened, and he said that a student was going around taking drumsticks and trying to shove them in people's butts. So, as a father, I asked my son what happened to the student, how did this all happen? And then I asked, did it happen to my son? And my son said, yes, he tried to do it to me, but I was sitting down, so it didn't happen. I then proceeded to ask, who else did this happen to? And he started naming other individuals in the classroom. Unfortunately, one of the students wasn't going to allow this to happen to himself. He ran out of the classroom because the teacher was not in the classroom and decided to go find an adult who happened to be the vice principal at St. Clair Middle School. She quickly took action, got the student out of the classroom, and to my understanding, the student was suspended. However, no one from the school ever took the time to contact my wife or to contact the student's parents, who was the one that communicated that to the administration. We took the time to go over and talk to the student's parents and to find out that they did not talk to him. Sharing this incident with other people, and I think the school district or the principal has addressed it at this point, and we did have a good conversation with them. I shared it with one of my neighbors, and he proceeded to tell me of an incident that involved several of the high school students sodomizing another high school student with a crutch. There's a lot of stuff going on in our community. We have a great community, we have great schools. But there's a lot of stuff that's going on, and it's being recorded, and it's being shared at the school. So I would hope that you guys would take the time to look at our technology, how the technology is being used, and to look at the cell phone policies that exist inside our schools. My understanding is that the students are allowed to have them, they're allowed to use them. We know that research shows that kids are addicted to social media. They're addicted to things like Snapchat, and there's no reason why those students need to be accessing those things while they're at the school. The other thing I want to talk about is the safety and security of the students. Based on the incident that happened on November 28th and November 30th at the St. Clair Middle School. Now, I don't have all the details because it hasn't been very transparent as to how a high school student was allowed to enter the St. Clair Middle School. But I can tell you on numerous occasions, myself and my wife have attempted to go to the middle school and to the high school, or the middle school and the elementary school, sorry, not the high school, and we are buzzed directly in without anybody asking us who we are, without presenting any ID, or without asking, why are you here on this campus? Now, you guys may have safety and security policies, but the best policies, if not implemented, fail. So in my profession, we say complacency kills. So I don't know what the policies are as far as the security, Mr. Kennedy. I'm sure you're doing a great job, and I know that you're limited based on the resources that you have, and it looks like you're gonna get some additional resources. But I would hope that you guys would take the time to look at your policies and to look at how can we address them and what are the shortcomings. After every single incident that we have in law enforcement, we do what's called an after-action report. We look at what was the situation, what were the factors that led to this situation, and how can they be prevented in the future. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of bad things throughout my career. My sister had kids that went to Sandy Hook Elementary School. I know individuals that had kids that went to Uvalde Middle School or the Uvalde Elementary School that didn't end well for them and their families. And I've seen the trauma that it's caused for other law enforcement officers that I've worked with throughout my career. I don't want that to happen in this school district. We have a great community. We have great teachers. We have great administrators. I'm not saying you guys aren't doing a good job, but I think we're getting a little complacent, and not necessarily people in this room, because we've seen these people, we know these people, oh, they don't mean to do us any harm. But I will tell you, if you listen to the scanners in this county, The amount of mental health issues that exist are extreme. I had someone commit suicide in my neighborhood not too long ago, broad daylight when kids are out in the neighborhood. So I would hope that we take actions and we look at how can we improve as a school district to minimize the chances of something like this happening. And that's all I want to say. If you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them, but I hope that we can address some of these issues.
Thank you very much. Libby Prill?
Well, hello, everyone. It's really nice to see all of you, and it's kind of cool being on this side and giving some comment. I'm glad that I got here in time for your comments. That was really nice to hear from law enforcement. I guess I thought I would come here a little bit like a, I don't know, peacemaker isn't really the right term, but there's been a lot in social media, the last few weeks since the incident at the middle school. And I have a lot of faith in this board and our superintendent. I had the opportunity to work with you, and I know how sincerely and seriously that you do take the responsibility of caring for the students in this district, and I do appreciate that. It is a hard job. Having retired from schools, I can tell you that there are 1,000 times, not even that, there's probably 1,000,000 times that I have second-guessed my own actions, and I've said to myself, next time, okay, I learned and I'm going to do it differently. I had the opportunity after, it happened, and I had the feeling just from my own experience in schools that some of the things that I was reading on social media were, kind of being blown, I don't want to say blown out of proportion, because anything in this day and age, we have to take it seriously as if it is real, as if it is a real threat, but we know that we know how it is. It's like the old telephone game on social media. So I did have the opportunity to speak to the administrator, and he was very pleasant, and he was very forthcoming, and, he assured me that, at no time, was there any real risk. And we did talk about the fact that, one of the issues that I had was just, the staff being at the inner doors as opposed to the outer doors. And I believe that that's changed, at least the last few times I've been there. It appeared that staff was at the outer doors. And I hope that continues, because I said to him the goal is to not let anyone enter the building, not to wait until they get down a 100-foot hallway and then get to the inner doors to try to stop them, because there's other children. So I know that things are, changing, and I understand, Mr. Kennedy, that you're adding a security officer, and I think that that's wonderful, and that was something that we even had talked about back when I was on the board. So I know that you've talked about this for a long time, and that was part of the game plan, and the public doesn't always know that. But I think in part it's because, as this gentleman kind of explained, the communication isn't always there, and I think things snowballed because parents were not aware that the building had been breached. And for me, that was the number one factor. Even if I felt that, I know that Mr. Kennedy could have been there. Anybody, even if I felt that the staff had the building secured and everybody was safe, it's just someone managed to penetrate the security of the building who had to be found. What also concerned me was not that I was lied to or anything like that, but when I spoke to the administrator, and I vouched for him that this is what happened, the student was, found immediately, everything was fine, and this is just all a big social media exaggeration, only to find that maybe that exactly wasn't the case, that the child was left unsupervised and was actually found in a bathroom later. According to another parent who spoke to him, that was the version that that administrator gave that parent. So I'm alarmed that, that there were inconsistencies coming from the administrator of the building to different parents in the community. So we've all heard different versions. And I think that's what happens when we're not really forthcoming in exactly what happened. And maybe a lot of this could have been dispelled just if there had been better communication. So I look at it that it's a live and learn. But I guess I looked at it from the standpoint, as soon as that child breached the building on the 28th, I really feel something just, somebody got into the building, not a big deal. He was, found, right away, and, everything is fine. I just feel that if we had had better communication on the day of the first event, that we wouldn't have had all the issues on the day that everybody got upset and, we all showed up to pull our kids out of school. It's just one mistake away from Oxford. If that child went to the bathroom, how do we know that he hadn't planted something in that bathroom earlier? I mean, anything can happen in this day and age, and I just think that we have to be really careful in the decisions that we make about supervision. If something like this happens, I don't think that a student should be out of the line of sight of a building administrator. I think it's that serious. Until that child is picked up, he has to be confined in the office underneath the direct supervision of an administrator, because we saw what happened. So at any rate, it's a live and learn. Thank God nothing happened, and I think it was to some extent largely exaggerated. I just hope that we just have a little bit better communication in the future. And again, I want to thank you, all of you, for everything that you do. I know it's a terribly difficult job, and I know that in no way, shape, or form would you ever make any decision that you felt would put any of our students at risk. I know that you're trying to make decisions for the safety of all of us. So I just hope that we all learn from it and we go forward from there, working together cooperatively and in partnership. That's what makes us a great district. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we will move on into our action items. Our first action item this evening is regarding the St. Clair campus renovations. Per administration and construction's recommendation, the Board of Education approves the awards for the pre-purchase based upon the lowest responsive bid, contractors' qualifications, their proposal, and their ability to meet the schedule requirements. The East China School District pre-purchasing St. Clair 612 campus proposal is a pre-purchase of rooftop air conditioning units to Thermalnetics for $548,000. Proposal B, pre-purchase of unit ventilators and air-cooled condensing units to Thermalnetics for $610,500. And Proposal C, pre-purchase of electrical switchboard to J&J Electric for $132,000, totaling $1,290,500 for the work described in the bidding documents. A motion is needed.
So move. Support.
Are there any comments or questions? No? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, our next action item is per administration's recommendation. The Board of Education approves a resolution for summer tax collection as presented at the November 27th, 2023 regular Board of Education meeting.
So moved.
Support.
Any comments or questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Per administration's recommendation, the Board of Education accepts the recommendation for student 2023-03 presented at the December, it's not the 12th.
18.
Presented at the December 18th, 2023 student discipline hearing.
So move. Support.
Are there any comments or questions? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And at this time, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and again, wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.